Okay, so this is where we left off. This was created by the Mimbres culture of southwestern New Mexico, and they are known for these black and white bowls. And this one dates back to around 1250, and it has a depiction of two black cranes on this white background. There's a lot of contrast between the curved lines of the cranes and then the very geometric border that they are contained within of the bowl itself and the border that is drawn around the edge. There's a lot of different compositions on Mimbres pottery. They have, geometric patterns, very abstracted renderings of humans and animals, and they also feature composite creatures, which is something we've seen a lot of in American art, Native American art. And a lot of these artists did not repeat themselves. There's a lot of variation, like I said, a lot of linear forms, a lot of clearly defined borders. The potter's wheel was not known in the Americas. It wasn't used. So this was a coil pot. They made coils of clay, and then they would burnish it, or rather smooth out the coils to create a smooth surface for the pot itself. They come in many different sizes in the Americas, lots of technical excellence, and it's thought to have been done by women. So these pots by the Mimbres potters is thought to have been made by women. Okay, so we'll move on to the ancestral Puebloans. This is definitely one of the greatest cultures ever discovered in the American Southwest. They're the northern neighbors of the Mimbres and Anasazi, and they occupied the Four Corners region of present-day U.S., the states of Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. Kind of where they meet is where their territory is. Their culture comes around 200 CE, but their art didn't really peak until 1000. So they have many ruined pueblos that they've left behind, which are urban settlements, and these are scattered throughout the Southwest and definitely tell us a lot about the ancestral Puebloans' masterful building skills. So this one is Pueblo Bonita. You can see that in the slide here. It's in Chaco Canyon, New Mexico. Mid to 9th century is when it began, through the 11th century CE. Pueblo Bonito is the late 1st and early 2nd millennia CE ancestral Puebloan dwelling in northwestern New Mexico. And it was a hub of extensive planned networks of unpaved roads that connected the peoples of the canyon to other Native American communities as far south as Mexico. And in the 9th century, they began constructing these great houses, as you can see on the slide, in Chaco Canyon. And they had, living quarters, storerooms, and then ceremonial chambers in this dwelling. There's quite a few different rooms, as you can see. And this is the largest of the 9 great houses in Chaco Canyon. It's called Pueblo Bonito, that means beautiful town, made of local sandstone. And like I said, started in the mid-9th and then stretched into the 11th century. It's at the base of a 100-foot mesa on the northeastern side of the canyon. And it has about 600 to 800 rooms that are tightly arranged in a D shape or semicircular plan here. You can see that in the slide quite clearly that it's a D shape. It is aligned to the cardinal points of the compass, and the curved part of the D faces the canyon wall. And some of the pueblos here reached 5 stories in height, so they got quite sophisticated with their building. Most rooms are rectilinear or square-shaped, but some are, around 30 are actually round, and they're called kivas if they're round, and they're some of them are up to 60 feet in diameter, so they're quite large, some of them. And those round rooms called kivas were the spiritual centers, typically male driven, elders. They used these rooms, these round kivas, to store ritual regalia, perform private rituals, and then also prepare for public ceremonies. So we can take another look at a different place here, the Cliff Palace, 12th century. So a drought occurred, and the ancestral Puebloans had to abandon their previous area that they dwelled and move further north to the steep-sided canyons and the lush environment of Mesa Verde in southwestern Colorado. So they had to move north. There was much more rain there, much more inhabitable for them after the drought that happened in their original dwelling place. And this cliff palace here, pictured in the slide, is sheltered kind of into the ledge above a valley floor, actually. And it has 200 rectangular rooms that are mostly communal dwellings. They're made of stone and timber, and then they were plastered on the outside with adobe. So they originally were covered with a smooth plaster adobe surface, which, eroded away over the time, and you can now see the brick, but it was at one point plastered with adobe on the outside. And in this particular cliff palace, there are about 25 kivas, which are round rooms. And the Puebloans made this the way it was because they wanted to have the sun to heat the Pueblo in the winter, and then this sheltering rock ledge actually created shade during the hot summer months. So they purposely built their dwelling here. It's a good spot for them due to the, able to get heat in the winter and shade during the summer. So gradually the ancestral Puebloans turned into the various Pueblo peoples that still live in Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah. So yeah, that's about it for this chapter. We will cover the Plains Indians of North America on our own, because I don't see a section in that in the book for that. So anyway, we will talk to you later.